It is mailbag time here on the Cleveland Browns Report. I'm answering all the questions you guys have asked during our live show, which airs every single Thursday at 4 o'clock Eastern. Although we might push it back to 5 o'clock Eastern, see how the reviews do from this past week. But we got some questions coming in, and we'll start with this one from a OG at the channel, cool guy called Zone. Have you seen the new Browns opponents for 2023? I have seen the new Browns opponents for 2023. I've got them right up here in front of me. Let me run through them because there is a real possibility the Browns don't lose a game. Okay, ignore the AFC North opponents. We know those 3 home and away. The other games here, okay? They've got the Texans. This is on the road. On the road, Texans, easy. Colts, easy. Rams, might be bad again. Seahawks, probably having a letdown year. Broncos, don't know what to make of them with Sean Payton now, but if Russ still sucks, that's still a winnable game. All 6 of those games right there are at least very winnable. You're not going to Arrowhead. You're not going to Philly, right? You're not going on these major gauntlet away games here. You've got the Texans, the Colts, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Broncos. I can talk myself into winning every single one of those games. Now, the home ones here, okay? In Cleveland, the Jags and the Titans. The Titans are going to be bad. The Jags, I've been a big Jags fan. Big Jags truther, at least. They're still the Jags, though. Let's make them do it 2 years in a row before we buy in 100%. The Cardinals without Kyler Murray, that could be a cupcake game. The Niners, if you get them early with no Brock Purdy, most likely. Trey Lance, I think, kind of sucks, so that could be a win right there. Revenge game against the Jets for sure. The Bears, Justin Fields is good. It probably won't be as easy as it was last season when he got sacked 9 times, but hey, it's still mathematically the worst team in football, so that should be a win. Like 17-0. Call right now. Next question coming in from Jameer Brown. Random trade idea. Brandin Aiyuk if the Niners can't afford him. The 49ers are going to have a bit of an issue in a few seasons of having a lot of mouths to feed, and they might have some extra money to go around because they don't have any expensive quarterback currently on the books. Right, Trey Lance and Brock Purdy both on their rookie deals, but they did just pay Debo. They've got Christian McCaffrey. They've got a lot of guys on defense. I really don't see them letting Aiyuk leave, especially after a 1,000-yard season and 8 touchdowns as the second receiver behind Debo Samuel. But if they do, or if they decide that they're not going to pay him because they just can't afford him and they want to get something for him, kind of like DeForest Buckner with the 49ers going to the Colts. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. Probably going to cost you a first rounder, something the Browns don't have. But if you can toss in a player and drive it from a first down to a second, I'm in. Now, name a player you think the Browns should go out and trade for. Let me know in the comment section. An opportunity for you guys to let your voice be heard here at the channel. Let me know what player you want the Browns to trade for. Puck on the ice, Stetson or Drake Maye. I have said it before, and I will say it again. We are an anti-Stetson Bennett channel. If he is drafted by the Browns, Andrew Berry, if you're watching this, do not do it. Don't. Stop it. Don't even think about it. We are everyone over Stetson Bennett. That is the end of that. Darker. Would it be better to trade for a wide receiver or draft a young wide receiver? Good question. Kind of depends on what younger wide receiver we're talking here. Like, I like Josh Downs a lot out of UNC, speaking of Drake Maye. But as a whole, I'm thinking Andrew Berry is probably leaning the trade route. Why? If things don't go well this year, that would mean 3 straight losing seasons. That's when people start getting fired, right? 1 losing season, unlikely. 2 losing seasons, you're on the hot seat. 3 losing seasons, you're on the street. So I'm guessing Andrew Berry might feel some pressure to go out and trade for a proven receiver because he may not feel like he has time to wait for a young wide receiver to develop. But if he's got that, security from Haslam of no, don't worry, no matter what, you're not getting canned this year, then maybe he does go the young wide receiver route because it's cheaper and the upside could be higher than a Brandin Cooks, for example. Aiden Stutz next up. Thoughts on Jarvis posting with LeBron holding a Cleveland jersey? I just don't see if what you're asking at the core here is if Jarvis Landry could come back to Cleveland because of LeBron connection. No, right? If Andrew Berry didn't want to bring him back last year, he's definitely not going to do it this year after the season he had in New Orleans. But just my overall thoughts, I guess, I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't have a rich answer for you other than that's cool. But in terms of how that actually, what that means for the Browns, very little in my opinion. Now, if you are looking for an off-season Browns channel to keep you informed and entertained, this is the channel for you. A lot of other channels kind of take their foot off the gas in the off-season. No, if anything, we speed things up here. We're getting you guys daily content, so make sure you join us today. That way you don't miss a beat or anything related to your Cleveland Browns. Okay, we've got some more questions to get to here coming up on the show. We're filming it live, so you guys get to see what it's like in the making. Epic Jet with a $10 super chat for the question. Appreciate you, Epic Jet. Thank you so much. Shout out to Jake Heath, who suggested this idea. Should we trade Greg Newsome for Danielle Hunter or Romeo Okwara? They are both cornerback needy. Love the channel. Keep up the great work. That's one. Thank you very much for the compliment at the end. Now, when it comes to trading Greg Newsome for Danielle Hunter or Romeo Okwara, I think Greg Newsome is going to be a player that teams call and ask about. I think Andrew Berry will probably have a high price. I don't know if any team will reach it. But if a team does, I'm sure he'll make a trade. I don't think Greg Newsome is off the table for trades. When it comes to trading for Danielle Hunter, I got our Vikings guy, Patrick Seatman here. Hunter last season, a bit of a down year, was it not, after getting paid? He also had some bad injuries, 10.5 sacks? Okay, you got it going in the second half of the year, so that's the intel we have. Not opposed to Hunter. I would probably pick that one over Okwara. So, yeah, not opposed to it. I'd go yes. That's my English answer. Nicholas, next up on the show. If we don't draft Tank Dell, we will regret it for a long time. We are officially in the draft rumor season of we are honing in on some guys, and I like it. I like Tank Dell. For me, I'm a big fan of Josh Downs. I think he is exactly what the Browns are looking for in a slot wide receiver. So if he's there when Cleveland's on the clock at 42 and they addressed defensive tackle in free agency, yeah, I would like to see that. But Tank Dell's a good one too. All right, next up, we're going to tell you guys about our sponsor today, BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Browns125. When you do, they'll give you a 125% deposit bonus. In English, let's say you put 100 bones in, well, then you're going to get a 125% deposit bonus. So $225 to play with. Some Super Bowl props. If you're watching this before the Super Bowl, you got to roll Travis Kelce minus 155. I don't get the Miles Sanders minus 110. He has scored a sneaky amount of touchdowns, but no, I don't like that one. Pacheco at plus 140, just not good enough value. That's got to be a higher number, I think. Kelce, give it to me all day. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Browns125. Keith, next up. Any concern about too much going to the offensive line and not the defensive line? The Conklin extension was shocking, right? One, it basically is a 2-year deal with how much guaranteed money there is over the first 2 seasons. But, yeah, concern, not necessarily, because this team is rooted in running the football. So if you want to do a good job of that, you should invest in your offensive line. I think the concern would be not prioritizing defensive line in the draft. The earliest we've seen a defensive lineman taken by the Browns recently was Jordan Elliott in round 3. Would like to see some more love go into that spot earlier in the draft. So not too much about the free agency side. If that's not fixed this year, Keith, circle back to me, come back to me later, you know what I mean? And then I'll have concerns. But for now, I'm going to give Andrew Berry this offseason to remedy what's been disappointing defensive line the last 2. Little Beam, what's up, man? How does Brandin Cooks for Greg Newsome and a 2023 6th-round pick sound? Ooh. Greg Newsome. So the Browns get Cooks, and Houston gets Newsome and a 6. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes, I think. Yes, I know. I would do that. I think I would do that. Again, Newsome is just kind of the odd man out right now in terms of having Emerson and Ward as your outside corners. Sounds like Newsome doesn't want to go back to the slot in 2023. And if that's the case, you can flip him for a Brandin Cooks, who would be an immediate starter at your slot position on the wide receiver side of things. He's got the connection with Deshaun Watson back in Houston in 2020. I think I do that deal. Lil Beam, you got yourself a deal. Terry Crews, what's up? Who could you see breaking out with Schwartz at defensive coordinator? Good question. With Schwartz at defensive coordinator, I like to say a Perion Winfrey, right? Some defensive lineman, because we know Schwartz does a great job of getting great production out of his defensive tackles. What about Grant Delpit? Like, we're spending all this time in free agency. We're spending all this time this offseason talking about how the Browns need to sign another free safety. They need another safety for Schwartz to be successful. I don't know. Grant Delpit was pretty darn good, if you ask me, for the last 2/3 of the season, would you say? So, sure, we could invest in a Jesse Bates or a Julian Love, but I don't mind seeing what he can just do with Delpit and DeAnthony Bell or a cheap free agent or another rookie. So, I would like to see what Grant Delpit's able to do under Schwartz as the DC, because he was awesome the second half plus of last season. I think he could be a big winner of Schwartz coming over as the defensive coordinator. But let me know who you think it is. Who is the biggest beneficiary, right? Who is the biggest winner from Jim Schwartz coming in as the defensive coordinator? Let me know in the comment section below. I think I'll go with Delpit for now. Garrett's like an easy one, so I'm trying to think outside the box a little bit, but I'm curious who you're picking. We got another question coming in from Lil Beam. Aside from Kellen Mond, who could we also get for a cheap quarterback free agent? Who could also be a cheap quarterback free agent we can get? Off the top of my head, Baker Mayfield's a free agent quarterback. That'd be hysterical. It would never happen, though. They're not going to spend much for that backup job, right? They've got probably about $35 million to spend in free agency. They're not going to get a backup quarterback that cost more than $5 million, right? You got so much sunk into Deshaun Watson. You are going bottom of the barrel and hoping that he never has to play a snap. So I'm guessing they're going to stick with Kellen Mond. If they don't, what about like an Andy Dalton? I don't like that answer, but Andy Dalton could come over for cheap. He's old in his career. Bring back Case Keenum. I know he's a free agent with Buffalo. He's got familiarity with the system. That could be an option. There's Jimmy Garoppolo's, there's Teddy Bridgewater that are free agents, but I just don't see the Browns spending over $5 million. Those guys are going to get more than $5 million. So I think you could go the Kellen Mond direction or the super old veteran Andy Dalton, Case Keenum route. No Stetson Bennett, as my producer whispers in my absolutely, the channel's gone. You're just going to wake up one night and it's going to be gone. Cool guy called Zone. Even if we don't go 17-0, what's the next best record we could get with this team? I love this question to end on. In all honesty, we're talking about a team that won, 7 games this past season? 7-10? They were 4-7. They won 3 games with Deshaun Watson. So I think the floor has to be 10-7, though, right? You got to get to 10 wins with Deshaun Watson and Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb and all these other guys. 11 wins is look out. 12 wins is we've arrived. 13 wins is we're the Bengals of last season and everyone sort of forgot about us and we got hot the second half of the year. So what's the next best record? I think 12 wins would be something that's not unattainable. That's not like you're way out of bounds for saying that. But also, hey, that's not too far off from where they should be with how much talent is on this roster. So I think 12-5, I don't think you're crazy for suggesting that. But also, they are a 12-5 roster, if you ask me. I appreciate everyone who tuned into today's show. If you haven't already, hit me up on Twitter, @MatthewPD. I keep you guys up to date on the latest Browns news and rumors all off season long. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you all later. We'll have more Browns news and rumors throughout the entire offseason for you.